everybody. Welcome. Here we go. It's that time again. Matt Connarton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. And it is a glorious day here in Manchester. Streaming at WMNHradio.org and on the Facebook, on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. And if you're in Manchester, of course, you can also watch us on Comcast 97. But you can get us anywhere in the world. Go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is, of course, Friday, September 10th, 2021. One day, of course, before the 20-year anniversary of September 11. That's why I opened with that. I didn't realize it was, I didn't know that version of the song existed until I found it in the computer, that live acoustic version of The Rising by Springsteen from the album of the same name that came out not long after September 11th happened, all the way back in 2001. But, we'll talk about that a little bit today. We do have a guest who's going to be coming to talk about some other things, but we'll get into that as well, of course. And she has a story to tell. G-Girl is going to be joining us today. She's been here before a couple times, 2, 3 times. She's going to be coming in. She's the host of the Icy Show online. She's also an actor, promoter. She does a lot of different things. She's got an event coming up this weekend on Sunday, the 12th, that she wants to promote. But, I was talking to her earlier on Messenger, and I said, it is, of course, the eve of the 20-year anniversary of September 11th. So, I want to talk about that too, if you're up for it. And, we can maybe do that thing. I'll ask you, do you remember where you were on that day when that happened and all of that? And apparently she does have a story to tell in regard to that. So she's down for that. Very much so. So we look forward to seeing her. She's coming up from Massachusetts, and she's probably stuck in Friday traffic. On Fridays, if you're here in New Hampshire, you know how it goes. All these people come up I-93 and up Route 3 from Massachusetts, and I don't know what they do when they're up here. But she's coming to be on the show, so she'll get here when she gets here. But I'm just kidding, of course. You're all welcome to join us up here. I know let's be honest, New Hampshire's economy depends on tourists coming up during this wonderful time of year. It is still summer, I mean, I know the unofficial end of summer is Labor Day, but we still have, the 21st, 22nd, something like that. So we've still got a little bit of summer left. And I'm going to hang on to it with both hands because summer is my favorite time of year. But let's see. So we have plenty to do. Also, too, I do want to remind you before we go any further about our wonderful sponsor, the Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan, right across the street at 1000 Elm Street. They have delicious gourmet pretzels. They have craft beer. And it is Friday, which means tonight, our friend Mike Sutterth transforms into Grant Lampton and is performing live at the Hop Knot from 7 to 9 p.m. as he does a residency there every Friday night. So the Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan at 1000 Elm Street. Great food, great service, and a wonderful family that owns and operates it. So please stop in, say hello, have a pretzel, have a beer, have a pretzel and a beer. Have a pretzel and a couple beers. Have a couple pretzels and a couple beer. Ooh, boy, you're going to have a full stomach if you do that. But do it, because you'll be glad you did. Unless you eat too many pretzels, and then you'll be like, oh, but they were so good, I couldn't help myself. That's happened to me. So, and it may happen to you as well. But if you would like to join us today, 603-250-6007 is the number, 603-250-6007. You can also text us at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connarton, or email me, matt@mattconnerton.com. And, of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do is give us a call at 603-250-6007. And, by the way, speaking of September 11, if you missed it, if you get a chance, I do recommend checking out the morning show this morning. Of course, the morning show with Peter White, weekdays from 7 to 9 a.m. with a replay from 2 to 4 p.m. See, I knew there was a p.m. that was supposed to go somewhere right here on WMNH, but Peter did a really nice job this morning. I went back and checked it out. He said something that really kind of resonated with me and probably resonated with, I know we share some of the same listenership. So those of you who heard it, this probably resonated with you as well. And like I said, if you didn't get to hear it, I would go back and give it a listen. It was kind of toward the end of the show, but, you know, he was talking about, thinking about the people who perished that day. You know, we tend to think of these events, these historical events, you know, you might think of them, you might think of what you went through that day and the emotions, or maybe you even lost someone in that. Or you might think about it more in the abstract. You might be too young to remember it. You might not have even been born yet. It was 20 years ago, after all. Wow, it's hard to believe. It sounds like such a cliche. It's hard to believe it's been 20 years, but it really is, because I remember it so vividly, as I'm sure so many of you do. You know, there's a lot of different ways that we think about these events, but Peter kind of reminded us all, you know, the most important thing really to think about is the people that we lost on that day. You know, those are human beings with friends and families, people who loved them and cared about them. And obviously the individuals in the World Trade Center that day, you know, I'm sure none of them woke up that morning thinking that, you know, something like that was going to happen to them. And, you know, you think about all the terrible things. Some of them died very quickly, obviously, when those planes hit. And some of them, I mean, the images are seared in my mind. It's hard to even talk about, but, you know, I remember the images of people leaping to their death. This is the one that really gets me. It's people leaping to their death because the building was on fire, and they had two options: either stay and burn to death, or jump and plummet to what would be, if they were lucky, an immediate, instant death. And so the choice was obvious, but can you imagine? It's so, you know, and what Peter did this morning, and I'm not gonna do it again here. He did such a nice job. Like I said, I would encourage you to check it out. But you know, those of you who live here in New Hampshire, this might resonate with you. He went through a list of people and talked about people who were either New Hampshire natives or had some sort of connection to New Hampshire, who died that day. So so I think he did a really nice job. So, you know, it's like I said, you know, we talk about it in the abstract. We talk about it from a historical perspective. Obviously, on this show, you know, we've talked about everything that came after it in terms of foreign policy. I mean, that's, you know, the event itself was 20 years ago, but it reshaped our foreign policy in the Middle East, to put it lightly, for the next 2 decades. And, you know, we just went through the withdrawal. I guess we're still going through it in the sense that they're still getting Americans out and some of these Afghans out who worked with us. But, you know, we've been going through this terrible withdrawal from Afghanistan. But obviously our entrance into Afghanistan and our occupation there was, whether you agreed with it or not. And I think most Americans, certainly in hindsight, and for a very long time now in hindsight, disagreed with it. But, you know, and of course our invasion of Iraq, et cetera, so much flowed from what happened on that day. You know, so we discuss all of that, but it was nice to hear someone say, as Peter did this morning, let's stop and think about these people, and let's talk about some of these individuals. You know, and instead of thinking of it on a macro level, let's think of it on a micro level for a moment and think about these individual people and what they went through. And again, you know, I talk about, you know, someone who had to jump to their death. God, that's unimaginable to me. That's hard, but yeah, so I think he did a great job. You know, and like I said, we'll talk about when G-Girl arrives, you know, we're going to talk about what she's been up to and some positive things that she's got going on. But we'll talk about, we'll hear her story on 9/11. A lot of great comments in the Facebook live chat. I do want to, maybe we'll do that now. Let me give the number again quickly, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. But let's see, Rocky Huber is in the chat room. Hello, Rocky, says good afternoon, everyone. Dirk Don says, Bad Billy had me as a guest for Outlaw Radio last night. The episode will be out soon. Oh, I bet I know what you guys talked about, Dirk. Yeah, I was on Bad Billy's show recently and as well, and had a great time. We have a mutual acquaintance, and I think you know who that is. Jenny is in the chat room and says, Shalom, peeps. Hello. Dirk says, Matt, you might want to check your messages. I did see that, Dirk. I looked at that quickly before getting on the air. Tom Blanchard says, notice it's, of course, 9/11 Eve. Stacey Lawton is in the chat and says, hey, Matt Connarton, many blessings to you and to everyone. Tom really likes that song, The Rising by Springsteen. Absolutely great song. Stacy says, Matt, the 1 year anniversary of me being on your show is September 11. So we have known each other for 1 year. Now it's been 1 year now. It's been a big pleasure. You're awesome. Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate that. Miriam is in the chat room. She says, happy Friday. She's on her way to Boston. We'll grab this call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hi, Matty. It's Gary.
Gary. Gary, how are you? No, I'm glad you called. And I think I know why you're calling. And yes,
well,
I received...
one thing. Did you get it?
I did receive the envelope with the beautiful poem. Gary, do you mind if I read this on the show today, or would you rather we save it for Paul?
I was going to ask if you did. Could you dedicate it to all the firefighters?
Oh,
and all the police?
Absolutely. That's a phenomenal idea. Yes.
I lost 4 friends from the New York Fire Department.
Wow.
They were friends of mine. They were from one of the drum corps, and they were hell of a guys. They were real fun guys. And my brother lost. He was a volunteer. He's a retired firefighter, and he lost a whole company of friends in New York, a ladder company. And they were one of the first ladder companies on there. So
yeah,
my heart goes out all to the firemen. I have friends that are firefighters, and those guys, they were friends. We weren't like great friends, but we were musical friends. And I missed them so much. They were really funny guys, and they used to make fun of me because I came from New Hampshire, you know. And they said, "Do you still have the little pumper with the horses?" And I said, "No, we got the the old fire trucks you crank up in the front, you know." And the guys still pump the water out. But I miss those guys dearly. And to everybody, just take time out. Just take time out and think of somebody. And enough with this fighting of who this and that there. We just got to come together as a country again and just knock it off with the I'm better than you and you're better than me. And today and tomorrow, just find somebody and hug them. Or give them that fist pump if you can't because of COVID. But give that fist pump. You see a firefighter,
yes,
yeah, or you see a policeman, you honk that horn and you wave at them, and you don't give them the universal signal. You give them the good signal, and you give them the fist pump up and say, we love you all. Enough of the crappy stuff.
All the first responders, EMTs, like Jenny was an EMT. All the first responders, absolutely.
Yes, all the first responders.
You got to appreciate them. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just wanted to put my couple of 2 cents in on that because I miss them. They're good. They were good men, and everybody who I saw that that show that you're talking about. I saw it, and I couldn't watch the rest. I had nightmares after just people. They held hands, and firefighters, and this was real tape. And the firefighters were going in. As they were going in, they were hearing thump, thump, and they thought it was just pieces of rock. And they looked, and these firefighters are living with, the ones that came out of there living. A lot of them did have some very mental problems, some and
PTSD.
And and the guy that is a hero. is those guys that put those guys down and that said, "Let's roll."
Yes. Yep. Yep. I
The
might.
guys that said, "Let's roll," in Shanks.
I'm gonna play.
Those are some heroes.
I'm gonna play that song later.
They kissed on the phone, said, "I'm not coming home," and
yeah.
And everybody, just everybody. So
I'm gonna play that song later. That Neil Young song, "Let's Roll." I'm gonna play that at the top of the hour.
Oh, please, yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's just some good stuff. I loved what you did with Springsteen. I loved it. I love that acoustic version.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't even know until I looked in the computer and I found it. I was like, oh.
I heard it a long time ago, but I didn't know it was still out there.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's music. It stays with
us.
All
right, well, I'll
forever.
let you go. I'm a pain in the butt, I know.
No, not at all. Not at all, Gary.
Yeah, please,
we love you.
Please read that and dedicate it, and I hope and give it to Paul.
Yes.
And much love to Paul. Tell him, like I said, he's never met me, but please read it and dedicate it to everybody.
Absolutely. I'm gonna do.
It's written for guys, but I wrote one for my mom. God rest her soul. It's 20 years. She passed in 2001. So, but it's been 20 years for her. So I celebrate her life every year, and I have the poem I read for her that I made for her. But this is one that I made for men too. So
yeah.
But.
No, that's
okay. I'm babbling, so
it's okay.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
And I'm glad you received it. You just made my day, Maddie.
Oh,
you
good.
Just made my day.
I'm glad.
And much love to you, and much love to everybody, and much love to my woman, Jenny. I love her.
Absolutely.
I love both you guys. So.
All right.
Bless you both, and have a great show. And I'll listen to you guys tonight. Bye bye.
All right, Gary. Thank you. Bye bye. All right, that's our friend Gary, our wonderful friend Gary. I am, yes, I will read that poem. I just want to finish these Facebook Live comments, and then I'm going to read the wonderful poem that Gary sent us. Let's see. Stacy Lawton says in the chat, this is very important to remember the people that we lost, the love that was the lost. I think Stacy's using voice to text. The families that lost, and may they continue to rest in peace, and may their lives never be forgotten, and may we always honor them and respect them for as long as we shall live. Absolutely. Bobby Champagne says there are still people dying from the events that happened on that day, diseases of the lungs that our first responders are suffering from. That's a great point, Bobby. That is so true and so tragic. And those people were promised help, not to get political with it. Maybe we don't want to venture too far into that, but people who were promised help from our government with their medical expenses and care and whatnot, who to a large extent have not gotten it, which is very, very frustrating. But that's true. When we talk about the first responders and the heroes that they are, and that they, what they had to do on that day, some of them died. Some of them survived, but they have PTSD, as Gary referred to, and survivor's guilt and things like that. And, and some of them are still suffering terrible medical conditions as a result of it, cancer and so forth. Gonzo is in the chat and says, the only silver lining to 9/11 was how united we became as a country. True, although unfortunately that didn't last long, because as soon as, and again, not to go too far politically with it, but because we don't want to detract from, the central thought with this. But of course, as soon as the Bush administration started banging the drums of war, we became ununited again pretty quickly, because then it became this thing of, well, you're either pro-America and you want to go invade and bomb everybody, or you're against America and you're with the terrorists. It very much became that, as politics so often does. I see G Girl is here. Hello. If you want to sit at the news desk, that would be perfect. And while she comes in and gets settled, I want to read this wonderful poem that Gary sent. So this is the poem that Gary had written this for our friend Paulie C, of course, from Retro Spectrum Radio, Paulie C, and we'll be on later tonight at 7:30 with that. But Paul recently lost his dad, and so Gary wrote this for Paul and sent it in so I could give it to Paul. And I don't know if Paul's going to want to read it tonight or not. That's completely up to him, whatever he's comfortable with. But I want to, Gary did give me permission to read this now. And also, too, Gary wanted to dedicate this to all the first responders. As Gary mentioned, he knew several New York City Fire Department firefighters who perished on that day. So this is the beautiful poem that Gary wrote. Wipe your tears of sadness from your face. Be happy for him today. He has gone to a better place. No pain, no suffering anymore. He walks with your loved ones who have gone before. When you smell the first flowers of the spring, or the whisper in a summer breeze as it passes by, you know his spirit is by your side. Be happy for the time you had together. They will live in your heart forever and ever. So very nice. So that's a beautiful poem that Gary wrote for Paul. And of course, as Gary said, we dedicate that to all the first responders today. Let's see. I'm going to introduce our guest. Hi, G girl.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome. You look so. Why are
I
you?
didn't plug
Is that chair just like really, really low?
I don't know.
You look like you look very short. Is there a?
I'm short anyways. I'm only 5.
I know, but for some reason you look shorter than usual in that chair. Is
Maybe
it? It's okay. I mean, it's radio. It doesn't really. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Now you don't like your. Now you don't look like you're peering over the top of the guest of the desk rather. For those of us watching on the Facebook. So how have you been?
Good. I've been doing a lot of stuff. I just got off tour. I was on tour since June.
Pull that mic up a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. All right. On tour doing what?
So I represent Boston 617, and I started my tour in Detroit, and it was to do the most interviews from Boston 617, and I was trying to make a star across the country, not across the country, across the states, and I did it. So I went to Texas, I went to Detroit, I went to Ohio, New York, Boston, you name it, I did it. So, and I started June, and I stopped September 5th. And next year I plan on doing different countries for the tour.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's what my goal. My goal was to be connected 50 states, and now I'm way beyond the states. Now I'm on the other side of the country. So
yeah.
Next year my tour is going to, if everything goes well, with everything going on right now, my plan is to be on tour country to country next year.
Yeah, hopefully hopefully Americans are allowed to leave the country. I don't know, the way things are going, we're kind of going backward in some ways with this with the COVID, but
I know.
Boy, I'll tell you. I mean, were you obviously traveling around like that, like, in the Northeast? I mean, we've done okay. New Hampshire, we've done very well, actually. But boy, I'd be afraid to go to Texas right now.
Yeah, well, I did a lot of them over the Facebook Live.
Oh, okay.
Through the Icy Show, my page, Jackie Brown with 2 C's, IE Brown. But I wanted to be connected through the different states.
Yeah.
So I made that goal, and next year I have countries that want me to come out to their country.
Yeah.
And so that's what my goal is next year, to be on tour on different countries.
Okay, very cool. Now, what is the Icy Show?
The Icy Show is for anyone to come on my show that is doing something positive, productive. And maybe someone that I've worked with might be a connection that what you've been looking for.
Yeah.
For instance, I have people that have businesses. I interview them, for a commercial or for promotion of their business. Also, managers, record labels, actors, actresses, you name it. I've interviewed a lot of homeless people. I've done a lot of different interviews on here.
Tell me about this. So, homeless people.
Yes, I actually, there's someone in Haverhill, Massachusetts, and they call him like the doctor of the woods. And he actually asked me to interview him. And he was talking about the overdoses in the woods, where the under the bridge, things where people are
wow.
living. And he said it's getting younger and younger, so they call him the Godfather. He saves lives that, I mean, this guy showed it on my show. He had a whole backpack full of anything. He was like doctor, whatever you want to call him. And it was interesting because he said he saves more lives by the time the police and the firemen get to those people that are overdosing.
Really?
Yeah.
Like how though?
He has Narcan on him. He goes and purchases it. And he used to have a house. He was very wealthy. He lost his job and he lost his wife. He decided to help the people that need it. And he noticed how young they were. And he said they're getting younger and younger. He's been in the woods for years now. I think 8 years or something like that.
Wait, I want to make sure I understand this correctly because this is fascinating.
Yeah.
So he was what? Is he still wealthy, but he just chooses to live in the woods?
No. He's not working.
Okay.
He's not working. He goes to different programs to help kids get off the streets or help them direct them where they can go.
Yeah.
But he likes it. He'd rather live in the woods than deal with, bills on every day and getting stressed out. He lost his job, so he lost his wife. He lost his whole life in front of him, he said. And when that happened, it was because of everything going on. So he decided to stay homeless.
Wow.
Yeah, I was actually shocked when he was saying that, and I was like, "So let me get this. You really rather be homeless?" He said, "I help so many people," and he has a lot of respect on the streets.
Yeah.
Of the homeless and unfortunate people.
So he's one of them in a sense. He's among them, but he's able to help them.
He doesn't use. He's not a user.
He's not a user.
No.
But he goes and he's able to just, is it because how is he able to just buy the Narcan?
I don't know. I didn't ask that.
Yeah, he probably didn't. Yeah. Understood.
I mean, he had knives on him. He had like a sewing kit. He had everything with him.
No kidding.
And I was shocked to see it in front of my eyes, to be honest, because I never thought he was gonna pull. Because I said, "What's in your bag?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He has a big backpack he carries, and I've seen him multiple times when I worked at my friend's store, Your Boy Nice's custom clothing store in Haverhill.
Okay.
I seen him go by, and he'd be like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he goes, "You remember me?" I was like, "Of course I remember you," And he'll be like, "I saved another life," or he'll talk. He'll be like, "They're getting younger and younger." He said he is someone that's 12 years old. 12 years old in the streets. That's sad to have someone that young and that the family doesn't really care, and it's a real messed up situation. And,
Yeah.
I go to the Salvation Army Thanksgiving weekend. I do it every year, and I help. They do a Thanksgiving dinner. I think it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And they do a big Thanksgiving dinner, and I serve the unfortunate, and I see the younger. I mean, as young as my son at 11, 12. I mean, they're really young, but I never judge anybody on nothing.
Yeah.
But I feel bad. It breaks my heart seeing how young these kids are being homeless out.
Yeah. And of course with the pandemic too, it's, all of these problems that we had before in terms of poverty and homelessness, everything is just exacerbated. So have you always done that where you go and help?
I made it consistent the last 4 years this year. This will be the 4th year I'll do it.
I'm always fascinated to ask people about this. What was the impetus for you that made you decide to do that?
I've been homeless before.
Yeah.
So I know how it is not to have as fortunate as other people.
Yeah.
So if that's something that will make a smile on someone's face to help them, why not do that? To serve, take 2 hours out of your time. They're always looking for help. Every Salvation Army that does do it, check them out to your local city, because they need the help, like I said, to serve them. But also, just to have, when you walk by with that piece of pie or that, plate of food, when they look at you and they say, "Thank you so much. You have no idea," and you know, and you know something, you have to. They're not as fortunate. So one thing is sometimes they smell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So some people can't tolerate doing stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You know, if they're not hygiened. So I feel good when I do it. I really do, Matt. And sometimes I tear up hearing some stories because they'll come and talk to me and things like seeing I'm young. And I tell them, you know, don't give up. Always, you always stay strong no matter what you're going through. You know, God will help you. Just believe in God always, and God will have your back always.
The gentleman in the woods who helps people, is he the most interesting person you've interviewed? Because that's just fascinating to me.
I would actually say yes.
Yeah.
Because he kind of threw me off on
Yeah.
a lot of things he was saying. So yeah, I would say that was the most interesting interview I've ever interviewed someone.
Yeah. Is he the only homeless person you've interviewed?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I see these guys online sometimes who just go around and talk to, you know, because it's so easy to, you know, like you were saying, you know, you don't judge anybody, and that's an important thing to try to keep in mind, because, you know, it's very easy to, you know, I consider myself a really empathetic person, but I've caught myself doing it. It's easy to make a judgment about somebody, but you have no idea what their story is or what's happened to them or what they've been through. And, you know, and again, especially now with the pandemic, everything is even worse. And people who, you know, I actually, it was back before our holiday break at the end of last year. It was the only time this has ever happened. I actually teared up on the show because I was talking about how, you know, so many people are suffering. And, you know, Jenny was with me, and, you know, we're on the show, and I said, I just, I don't know what I ever did to be so fortunate. You know, what did I do to get so lucky that I'm not suffering, that, you know, that I'm okay and she's okay, and we're getting through this, and we haven't been sick, and we're not, you know, we're not starving or homeless or anything like that. But I see so many people are suffering, and it just, you know, and it really got to me. But, you know, but it is easy to judge somebody. You know, we have a lot of homeless people here, and, you know, it's a problem in every city. And, it's important to kind of stop and remember, you know, if you don't know their story, you don't know, you know, and actually too, the guy you were talking about, that's an example of someone who is doing what he's doing, not because he's, like you said, he doesn't use, you know, he's not a drug addict. He has his own reasons for what he's doing, and he's actually doing something positive. He's also not mentally ill, you know, because a lot of these folks are.
Yes.
You know, and it's not that they, you know, it's not that they want to be homeless necessarily, but they also just can't get the help that they need. I mean, here in New Hampshire, you know, everyone, my dad, you know, he's a social worker, and he talks about, you know, there's never enough resources for these people.
I believe that too, because you're seeing more and more. And you know what kills me too is because in Boston, I don't know if they have that out here. I brought my son with me today. I wanted him to experience this opportunity being on the you know, radio station, and that's why I brought him. But we did pass the homeless. I forget which street it was, near the courthouse.
Okay.
They're lined up there's about maybe 30 to 40 right now.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart. And my son, you know, I was explaining to him, I was like, those people that they're waiting for a room to get into the shelter over there. And, you know, and it's sad. And, you know, I wish I knew that was lined up there, because my son and I love to go around helping the homeless, or donate food to unfortunate, things like that. And I would have brought like paper bag lunches.
Yeah.
If I know how many people were lined up there, I would have made sure of that. That broke my heart, actually, just seeing that broad daylight. In Boston too, we have it. What's that street? It's on the tip of my tongue.
Oh, I've seen it.
And they got hundreds.
I don't remember what street it is either.
I know, I drive it all the
I've
time.
seen it. I've seen it because it's seared in my memory, being in Boston and seeing just like it's like a wall of homeless people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Mass Ave.
Okay. Yep.
Mass Ave. And I mean it's so sad. You see how many people there lined up, and I blame the government too, because they turn around and they open this, like, it's I forget, underground or something they call it, and that's where they were giving the fix to the people that were methadone clinic. They call it the methadone lane over there on Mass Ave in Boston. And you see all these hundreds. Before, you didn't see hundreds of people lined up. Now that they got the clinic going, they had that clinic for the methadone, they were going more and more and more and more and more. And it's like, I feel like the government made them, get addicted to that. They took away the OCs, and they took away the Oxycontins, they took away the Percocets, they took away Vicodins, all that stuff, but they switched it to methadone. So now it's easy for everyone to get methadone. You just have to join the methadone clinic. And it's like, dang, that's crazy. Now they look at people. I mean, Matt, it's so sad. It breaks your heart. Like, how can they bend so forward on their toes with the legs straight, going almost bending forward, like flat, and then to jump back up? You know what I'm saying? That's the drug. They can't help it. But I feel like, instead of taking away these pain pills, and I know a lot of people that need pain medicine. I have a friend that has sickle cell, 2 people, and they can't even get pain medicine, and they have that deadly disease. Yeah. And it's a very painful disease. Like, they're constantly in pain. Yeah. So, it's how everything is working with the pharmaceutical. It blows my mind. It really does. I had a doctor that was prescribing me a lot of medicine, and I stopped on my own. Yeah. Just like that. Because I noticed what he was doing. He was adding another prescription. I'm like, this is not how it's supposed to be. I shouldn't be on all these prescriptions when everything's coming back fine. You know what I mean? And, then when I found out what I was on, I was like, hell no, I'm not taking this anymore. So it's just crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes the government, though, they get in the way, and they actually make the problem worse because, Jenny and I talk about this a lot on the show because we've, she's known people who have actually, people who, like you were saying, you were talking about your friend with sickle cell, you said?
Yeah, sickle cell. It's a very painful disease.
Yeah. There's people who need pain medications who now have been for years now getting cut off because the government comes in and says, so everyone talks about this quote unquote opioid epidemic, which is really a ketamine, not an epidemic crisis, which is really a more of a ketamine crisis. But so then the government says, well, we need to fix this somehow. What's going to look good in a campaign ad? Oh, we'll start putting limits on what doctors can prescribe. But then what ends up happening is, so then the government is getting in the way, getting in between the patient and the doctor. So now a good doctor who wants to give you, my mother ran into this too, a good doctor who is trying to give you the pain medication that you need because you have a debilitating condition, all of a sudden is having to cut you off. And now you're screwed. I mean, my mom went through that. It just, Jenny said fentanyl in the chat. Fentanyl, that's what I meant, not ketamine. Fentanyl.
Hey, Jenny, I miss you.
I get it all mixed up in my head. But so it's a complicated thing. I mean, as far as people at the methadone clinic, I'd rather have them. Don't they usually use that to get people off of heroin?
Yeah, or the opiate.
I'd rather have them on methadone than heroin.
I don't know. I know, to be honest, Matt, I've known people that was on heroin, and I seen them go to the clinic afterwards, and they can't even comprehend life. They can't even socialize. Honestly, they were better off on heroin because they were turning around and functioning. You couldn't even tell they were on that type of drug, to be honest. Yeah. I'm being honest with you. I'm in this industry. I see a lot of people on different drugs, and I don't judge nobody. I can't judge nobody. It's the industry of hip hop. But what can I say is, you got to be there for someone. If you know someone that's on a serious drug like that, be supportive. Try to get them in a clinic. But honestly, I could see why, because the way these people are they're turning into zombies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable, like how he went from being on heroin to methadone, but methadone he can't even comprehend. Like, I mean, they really, I don't know what is in that, but I think that is more powerful than any other drug out there.
Really?
I've seen people on coke. I've seen people on heroin. I've seen people on Xanax, Quanapins, Percocets, you name it. I've seen someone on every type of drug out there.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't judge. But when you see your friend deteriorating from, they checked into a clinic and they could comprehend and have a job being on heroin, but then when they turn around and be on this methadone, they can't even comprehend. They can't even stand up. I mean, God, I mean, Matt, I wish I could show you, like, take a video in my head so you could just see. They like go like this. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've seen videos when they're zoned out. That's not
sure.
heroin they're on. That's the methadone they're on.
Yeah.
They make you like a zombie. Like that is very powerful.
Yeah.
I had a friend, he kept telling the clinic, oh, he didn't want to go up on the dosage. So, you know, they made him go up on that. And they shouldn't have made him go up. And then he ended up not going because he felt like they were making him like do it.
Yeah.
He felt peer pressure. And he's like, I'm a recovering drugging. And how can I go to the clinic when they're peer pressuring me to go up on that methadone? And he felt like, you know, they were just trying to get him addicted to that.
Really?
Yeah, he felt that. And he dropped out immediately, you know, and I think he went like 3 months, but every time they were trying to increase, he said, I don't need it. I'm not eating. All his urines were coming up just with that crap, the methadone in it, nothing else.
Yeah.
So he was faithful. He was really trying to clear it. But for him to stop, that meant that methadone is really very powerful drug. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I feel like, you know, they should bring back pain medicine, one thing. Because I feel like more people in the guy that was homeless on my show,
Yeah.
he even said the methadone is a powerful drug. He said,
Yeah.
you know, gave the Narcan when they had the methadone. So,
Yeah.
you know,
wow.
I heard methadone is a very powerful. You know, all you could do is pray for everyone that's, you know, has a problem. And I just wish these doctors would be more lenient. If you have a chronic disease, you know, be lenient for these patients. I mean, my friend, he has to go to first of all, he has a baby at home. His wife is working. He can't hold down a job. He's waiting for unemployment to kick in. They keep denying him, saying he's young because he has that disease. But if you look up sickle cell, it's
Yeah.
a chronic, it just gets worse and worse as time goes. It doesn't
Okay.
get better. The pain increases.
Oh, God.
And depending which type you have, I forget, T1 or T2 or something like that.
Because it's anemia, right? Sickle cell
Yes,
anemia? Yeah.
very, very anemic.
Okay.
Like iron pills won't even do it. Sometimes you have to have blood transfusions. Sometimes you have to stay in the hospital and have blood keep going, flush your whole body.
Yeah.
Like drain your blood and then have new blood coming in. Like I forget what that's called, but they do that. Every case is different. But my friend, he's a dad, and he's a dad, and he has a baby 1 year old. He has to go to the hospital every day to get pain medicine through the IV because
Wow.
and he's in Texas. This is
Yeah.
in Texas.
Yeah.
And that's two people I know in Texas that have the same disease, and they're both going through the very painful. One's a female, one's a male, and they both have kids. And her daughter, she carried the disease. The female one, she carried the disease. And it's crazy how painful, like, you know, around that time of the month, these females are more painful because, you know, you're losing so much blood
Yeah.
and you're already anemic. They need to
Oh.
find resources for these diseases. You know, I understand what's going on with one disease, but I mean, what about HIV? What about cancer? You know, you forgot about all those other diseases.
Yeah.
And it kills me because people are still dying from these diseases.
Yeah.
And we just need to really, you know, work together. I just hope that, you know, the government will be more lenient on such diseases. You know, cancer is very painful. We all know that. If you have sickle cell, do the research. I mean, it is a very painful disease.
Yeah.
And you know, that's all we'll talk about that. But I want to talk about September 11th because I heard you when I was coming in about September 11th.
Yeah. So do you remember? Well, first let me ask. You know, like my parents' generation and so forth, it was always, you know, do you remember where you were when JFK was shot?
Yeah.
But for people my age and, you know, and around that, you know, it's always, you remember, you know, I wasn't born yet when JFK was shot, obviously, but now it's, you know, do you remember where you were when September 11th, when you heard the news of what was going on? I mean, do you remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can remember that day clearly. September 11th. My oldest son, I was dropping off to the babysitter on the actual day of 9/11.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. I remember I was trying to call the babysitter. I couldn't get in touch with the babysitter because remember the phones were locked.
Mm-hmm.
So your phone, you hear beep beep beep. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I started panicking. I was a bank manager at the time, and I couldn't even call my work. Like, it was crazy. So I dropped my son off, and I see it all over the news.
Yeah.
And my babysitter's brother was a mailman in New York, and he was actually walking when that happened. He was walking on the sidewalk around there, whatever it was.
No kidding.
Yeah, he had ashes that came on him.
When the first plane hit?
I don't know which plane, but
Okay.
I know one of those planes when it was in New York. So probably the first one, I would assume. I really don't know, but
Yeah.
I remember he had to go get tested because of all the chemicals in the air.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I feel bad. A lot of the firemen that did survive got lung cancer
Yep.
and
Oh yeah.
toxic stuff in them, and they sacrificed their life for us.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they're gonna suffer for their rest of their life for something they were trying to help us.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And you know, I felt bad because they made it. They survived it. A lot of firemen didn't survive it because
Right.
when it collapsed. And
a lot of them who did survive at the time have died, you know, from cancer
Yep.
and you know, from inhaling all that.
And think about it, 20 years you don't think is long. And a lot of the firemen are young, you know.
Mhm.
I talk to, at my job, I see firemen all the time. I salute to them. I have cousins that are firemen, family that are police officers and firemen and EMTs. And it's like, I salute to them. I want to, I told my cousin I'm going to bring, in Cambridge, Mass, I'm going to drop off a whole bunch of food. I'm going to cook for them, for the firemen, and drop it off. Because back in the day, they used to have, for the firemen, they used to cook for them. Not anymore. The firemen cook upon each other. So I want to do like a, this weekend I got the red carpet, but soon I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to Cambridge, because that's where I was born. And I'm going to drop off to my cousins, and they have the biggest, they're at the biggest fire station in Cambridge.
Yeah.
And drop off platters because they say no one reaches out to them. No one drops nothing off no more. My auntie Lulu, she passed away 2 years ago at Christmas. And she used to bring, that's her son's, she used to do Italian food every Wednesday and feed them heavily. Like, they used to love it.
Yeah.
And that's why when she passed, every firefighter and police officer from all around Massachusetts, even out of state, came to her funeral because they respected her.
Oh, wow.
They talked about it. The restaurant was sold out when she passed away. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it's out of respect.
Yeah.
And we got to show more respect to the people, you know, the officers too, you know, and I think if we show more respect to the officers, they're gonna, you know, a lot of things have happened. You can see I was in a music video recently in New York about police brutality.
Really?
Yeah. Shout out to DTF Radio in New York, Brooklyn, New York. Virgo G and Jason. It was Virgo G's.
DTF Radio?
Yeah.
That's funny.
You know who they are?
No, I just know, but I know what DTF means usually, so I just think that's a funny name.
Yes, they're good people. I co-host with her sometimes on Wednesdays. But they do a lot of a good. I love being a part of them. They're doing a lot of good, positive things, and yeah.
So what was the video?
It was about police brutality. I made the signs for everyone, like George Floyd, Trayvon Martin. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I made the big posters. You could check it out on YouTube.
Oh.
Virgo G. Look up Virgo G and you'll see the music video. I'll share it on my
Cool.
page so you guys can see it. It already has 15K. It's been out only 3 months.
Oh.
We filmed it in Brooklyn, New York, and it was about all the police brutalities and Trayvon Martin, how he passed away, the innocence basically, and the police, they need to start interacting with the people in the streets so they can turn around and unite, because there's too much going on. I mean, it's crazy, Matt, what's going on around the world. And I've been in a situation when the police are racist. There's like 50 white cops, and they came because there's a situation at my house, but it wasn't at my house. They skipped the house that was white because we're black and white. Yeah. And they didn't want to hear anything, just because of the race situation. It was a bad situation. And I feel like, we just have to unite more around the world, on everywhere, and we can do it. I really know we can do it. I'm around different peoples, different leaders, different police, everything. Yeah. And I was supposed to be city council September this month, but I didn't go for it because I would have to get rid of my icy show. But I want to do that. I'm gonna get into it.
Oh, so you're planning in the future to
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
Oh,
definitely,
good
100%. Yeah. All I need is 150 votes. I got that.
Yeah.
I just went around just to the city just to see if I could do it. I got it like that in 72 hours. I got over like 172 signatures.
What is that like? Is that signatures you need to get on the ballot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. But when I found out I couldn't do my icy show, then I was like,
Well, what do you mean? Why would you have to give up the icy show?
Because it's a conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're that's what they told me. It's a conflict of interest, because you're dealing with people in the streets.
Yeah.
People in the industry. When you're a city council, you're working with the law a lot, you per se.
Yeah.
So they don't like that conflict.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You get judged. That's how I felt. I got judged on it. How they said, oh, you can't be doing your icy show if you want to do that. And I feel like I have a lot of power having my icy show and being a city council. That's about uniting and working with people around the world, is to make, things get better. And we can, if one town's getting better, why not pass that way to another town or a city or state, how we got that better,
Well, maybe you could do it. I mean, why? Like, who is it that told you would have to give it up? And what authority do they have to tell you that if you're going to run for city council, you can't do the show still? I mean, who told you that?
Someone at the city hall.
Yeah, I just wonder that. Like, is that some sort of weird rule somewhere? Or I mean, I don't know. I just wonder if someone was trying to discourage you.
I don't know. I really don't.
With an ulterior motive, because that just seems odd to me. That
I don't know. I'm trying. I really don't know. It could have been hate, really. But I have a lot of connection in that town, in that city, I would say. Yeah. I'm actually on the TV out there. So.
Oh, I think you had mentioned that the last time you were here, you had said something.
I was going to school. I passed. I got my card. Actually, I got it. So now I'm media. I can go to if there's a concert, I could show them my media card, and then I could be interviewing the artists behind the backstage and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I passed.
So, but is there a TV show that you're involved in that you do that
the
for?
Icy Show. It's gonna be on Comcast.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's on
Excellent.
99. So the Comcast. So it was supposed to start Labor Day weekend, but I was still on tour, so it got pushed back.
Okay.
But I'm gonna start doing the Icy Show on Comcast. It's gonna be on Channel 99. You'll be able to see it here because you're in New Hampshire.
Okay.
Because it's gonna be in Mass. It's gonna be in Haverhill, New Hampshire, Andover, Methuen, Lawrence, Georgetown, Groveland, and what's next to Haverhill? Bradford.
Okay.
So, yes. So, yeah, I just got to have the first guest. Maybe you could be my guest.
Oh, I would love it. Absolutely. Yeah.
We'll definitely work on that.
Okay.
After this, we'll talk. Because
Yeah.
I wanted to have a big artist or someone big like yourself, a host, and I would love to have you come. We'll talk about
yeah.
a date and figure it out. I known you for a long time.
Yeah.
You known him when he was when I was pregnant with him.
Right. I remember.
Because Norm's the one that turned around and said.
That's true. Yeah. Some of our listeners are very familiar with Norm. That's right. No,
I need a reading, Norm. Where are you? I need a reading.
Just a little quick backstory on that, and then we got to take a break in a minute. But yeah, so we did an event at when it was Millie's, right here in Manchester. Now it's the Stark Brew, and you were part of the event, and Norm was there.
Yeah, and my ex.
And your ex.
Yeah, he was performing.
Yes, right. And Norm was there doing readings, and Norm told you that you were pregnant.
Well, he called DZ he called him on the stage.
Oh, right.
And then they called me on the stage, and I was in the front, and I'm like, me? And he's like, yeah, come to the front and come to the stage. I'm like, no, I'm not part of the show. He's like, nah, come up here. And he's like, I'm going to read you in front of everyone. I'm like, what? I didn't think he was going to be on point.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, do you want to know the good news or the bad news? And I'm like, the good news, of course. And he's like, oh, you're pregnant. And I'm like, I'm pregnant? And I'm like, the heck out of here. Because I was just complaining to him. I was like, I want to get out of here. The smells were bothering me. I was feeling so nauseous. Out of nowhere, I kicked out of nowhere. That first day, when he told me that, everything kicked in. Smells were bothering me. He had cologne. I was like, oh, that smells nasty. Get away from me. Like,
yeah.
But Norm turned around and said, you're pregnant. And I was like, nah, I'm not pregnant. And he's like, nah, you're definitely pregnant. And he was saying this on stage at Millie's in front of everyone. I was so embarrassed, and I was feeling nauseous. And then I was excited, too, because I'm like, maybe I am pregnant.
Yeah.
And then he said I was going to have twins. And my son was a twin. I had a daughter. She passed away.
Oh.
So,
wow.
Yeah, she would have been 11.
Oh, that's right. I remember you talking about that the last time you were here. And I was like, oh, my God, I didn't realize.
Yeah,
wow.
we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about it until he could understand he was a twin.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of different complications and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, so when he was understanding, he actually came to me and told me he was a twin.
Right. I remember you saying that. Yeah, which is amazing. Yeah.
So that was kind of like,
yeah, it's interesting. And I know there's been, I haven't looked at any of it in a long time, but I know there's been a lot of research about, the connections that twins have and, and that can linger even if one passes away. Mm-hmm. The one who's still around senses. It's very interesting stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
It kind of gets into a metaphysical realm. It's really interesting. Well, let's so we are at the top of the hour. Let's take a break. I'm going to play that another 9/11 song. It did come up earlier before you got here. I think Neil Young's song "Let's Roll," and then we'll come back. G Girl is here with us, and
yes, sir.
We will
Boston in the house.
There you go. And we will continue our discussion, but we're gonna. Play a song and then show some love to our sponsors, and then we will be right back. More to come. Don't go away. back, everybody. We are well into hour number 2, numero dos of Matt Connarton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. Streaming at WMNHradio.org and on the Facebook on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. And you can also go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc. Of course, hello to our friends at Raw Talk Online and Tomorrow Radio. Today is Friday, September 10th, 2021, and G-Girl is with us at the news desk.
Yes, I'm here
Yes.
from Boston 617.
That's right. Oh, pull that mic. Yeah, there you go.
I'm short. Here we go.
That's all right. I do want to remind you, of course, we are proudly sponsored by the Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan at 1000 Elm Street, where they have delicious gourmet pretzels and craft beer, and they have Grant Lampton performing live there, as he does every Friday tonight from 7 to 9 p.m. So be sure to check him out. Grant Lampton, he does a great job there. He gets rave reviews, of course, and the Hop Knot, like I always say, great food, great service, and a wonderful family that owns and operates it, and we're so honored and proud to have them as a sponsor. Also, don't forget tonight, coming up at 7:30, I will be back as I am the co-host on Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C. every Friday night from 7:30 to 10 p.m. And here's what we've got coming up tonight. This Friday night on Retro Spectrum Radio, we are going to be doing Politically Incorrect for 2.5 solid hours. We will be featuring songs and classic TV commercials that would never be released today. Back in the day when being uptight wasn't invented yet. This one's going to be fun, so you don't want to miss it. The Cringe Fest begins at 7:30 tonight. So
Tune in.
yes, this might be the most dangerous edition ever of Retro Spectrum Radio, but we'll see. But if you'd like to enter the discussion, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connarton or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. But the best thing to do, of course, give us a call, 603-250-6007. And you can always interact and opine in the Facebook live chat as well. And before we go any further, G-Girl, we should talk about what you've got coming up on Sunday.
Yes. Make sure you come out this Sunday at Hall of Fames in New York, Queens, New York. I will be co-hosting with DJ Juiceske from 97 FM. He is hosting. I'm co-hosting. He's the DJ spinning the ones and the twos. It's a red carpet. DJ Virgo G's birthday. Also Cuban Link is performing. Nemrod from Federal District Records, he's performing. And there's 30 performances happening. It's going to be off the chain. Don't miss it. It's going to be scouts. There's going to be scouts in the crowd. There's going to be food by Gemini Stacks and G-Girls Cooking. So make sure you get those tickets there from $25 to $225 at Hall of Fame this Sunday. It's going down. Starts at 4 o'clock, I believe, 4 or 5. I should know that, but I'll be there early because I got to set up. So make sure you come out this Sunday, definitely.
Have you done a lot of events in New York?
Recently, yes.
Very cool. Good.
After I left the other radio station, and then when I started to go to New York, that's what I was doing.
So is that Hot 97 you were talking about? Is you said 97 FM?
DJ Drewski is from 97 FM.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes,
okay, because that's the biggest hip hop station in the country.
Yeah, so he's the DJ
great.
And he's hosting. I'm co-hosting, so it's gonna be off the chain.
Very good. Come
out.
By the way, at these events, do you ever encounter, when you're in New York, do you ever encounter a gentleman named Crazy Joe? You ever run into him?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's like a big supporter of hip hop. He used to be more of a rock guy, But for some reason, recently he's really gotten into hip hop. But he's an older guy. He's like 74 years old. But
I got to link with him. Link with me.
yeah, absolutely. Maybe we'll hear from him later. But yeah, so very cool. So that's do you what do you like to do most? Because you're involved in different things. You've got the Icy show. You do these live events. You're also an actor.
Yeah.
And a promoter. And I mean, is there one thing that,
acting? I love it.
No kidding.
Yes, I'm actually, if you want me to be an actress in your movie or your web series or a co-host, inbox me, Jackie Brown, 2 C's, IE Brown. Check me out on Instagram. I launched my website. It's ICICCYSHOWW.GoDaddySites.com. Go check it out. I just launched it recently, so it's still being upgraded. So, bear with me, please. But yeah, I still have the Icy Show gear, the t-shirts, the jogging suits outfits, hoodies, stickers, cups. And I got the 2-in-1 grinder. It's a mason jar with the grinder on top of the mason jar. And yeah, trying to work, Matt, trying to be everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do.
Have you done, weren't you shooting a film not long ago?
Yes.
Because I didn't even know this about you until I think a couple of years ago that you were an actor.
Yes, I actually filmed for Don Hazel, the gangster movie. It's out on YouTube. Go check it out. I act as Red. I represent the Taino Kings in the movie. Also, Get Fly with 2 Y's at the end of a web series. That web series is still being, we're still in production, but that will be out early next year. We were saying this end of this year, but Corona's starting to pick up, so we have to slow it down. So, the director's taking it cautious, that's all. But that will definitely be out. Also, what else is there?
Don Hazelton, did I meet him? Am I saying his name right?
Don Hazel.
Don Hazel.
No, you never met him.
Maybe you must have been talking about him last time you were here. Okay.
Yes, I always talk about him. He puts a lot of people on different movies in Boston 617.
What's the movie called?
Don Hazel. The Gangster.
The Gangster. Okay, I just found it on YouTube.
Yes,
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, check it out. Check out the part when I jump out of the trunk and everyone says that's the favorite part. Let me know if that's your favorite part. Inbox your girl, Jackie Brown. Definitely let me know. Make sure you come out this weekend, Sunday in New York. I'll be at Hall of Fame's co-hosting. It's going down this Sunday. I'm telling you, it's going to be off the chain. They say this is the biggest event of the whole 2021.
Yeah. Well, for a long time there were no events happening. So, it's been interesting seeing things opening up and people are really hungry to be able to experience live entertainment, live music, and whatnot.
This is my last one for a while.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna hibernate during the winter.
Yeah.
So I'm going out with the bang. I'm gonna do this red carpet. Then if you need me to co-host, just inbox me. But I plan on just falling back on the winter.
Yeah.
I always fall back, the holidays. I'm doing the mommy thing and
yeah.
always cooking. I want to focus too on my cookbook and my cooking episodes, things like that. I want to.
Oh, is that part of the Icy show too?
Yes, yes.
Cooking episodes? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I started doing. I haven't done one for a while because I was on the tour these 3 months, but I plan to get back into it. It's fall. I'm gonna make apple pie, apple crisp. Roast beefs in the oven with my homemade gravy, things like that. So you're going to see a lot coming up.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Happy birthday to my daughter tomorrow. She is turning 19 years old.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah,
No
she
kidding.
was on the 1-year anniversary of September 11th. And those nurses were horrible, Matt, during my labor.
No, yeah. So you mentioned something about that in Messenger earlier, because when I messaged you and I mentioned, obviously we're going to talk a bit about September 11th with tomorrow being the 20-year anniversary. But yeah, you said something about tell me about that.
So I started having labor on September 11th, the 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
And my daughter, her heart rate kept dropping. But the nurses were like, oh, you got to get to the 12th. Get to the 12th. I'm like, the 12th? you don't want to have a baby on September 11th. Look at all the lights that were. I was like, I don't want to hear this when I'm in labor. And they're like, oh, you should try to prolong it to what you want.
Is
that.
Hold on. So a nurse was actually
Nurses, multiple nurses, Matt.
Really?
Every shift, the nurses came in. They said, you really want to have a baby on September 11th? I said, I have no choice. My daughter's coming today.
Yeah.
And they said, you should try to prolong it. I said, prolong what? My daughter's going to come. Like, what the heck? Oh, this is the awful birthday. You really want to have a birthday on September 11th? I'm like, I have no choice. My daughter's coming today.
Wow.
And when I go to the doctor's appointments, like when she was first born, they'll be like, September 11th. Ugh, what kind of birthday is that? I'm like, you're telling a mom that with her daughter right there. Like, you should be ashamed of yourself saying that. Like, especially when you have someone in labor. Like, oh, my God. And she ended up coming at 11:20 at night because I had to go for emergency C-section because her heart rate dropped like the second time, but it was like risk real bad.
Oh, wow.
And the nurses kept saying, oh, I guess you're not going to get the September 12th birthday. You're getting the September 11th. And I was like, well, at least God's giving me life, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been worse, you know. There was lives taken. So I'm looking at as angel. I'm bringing an angel back into life.
Yeah.
And, the nurses did not want to hear it at Winchester Hospital. They did not want to hear it. They were the worst nurses during my labor on September 11th when I had my daughter.
Wow.
And I had I had 2 kids at Winchester Hospital, and I had another one. But from the first experience to the second experience, I would never go back to that hospital for a C-section.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, when you think about all the people who were born on September 11th. I mean, that's just, it is what it is, Wow, that's wild. That's wild.
Definitely.
Well, if you are just joining us, of course, we did talk a lot about it in the first hour, but if you missed it and if you didn't hear the morning show, I want to remind people. I would suggest going back and checking it out. Peter White, of course, host of the morning show weekdays from 7 to 9 a.m. here at WMNH, and then there's a replay from 2 to 4. Did a really nice job, I thought, this morning of, he was talking about when we talk about September 11th. We think of it in terms of very often, the political implications of everything that followed it. And, probably the same way past generations thought about Pearl Harbor in kind of an abstract way and whatnot. And we all have our memories of how we found out what was happening that day. But Peter was talking about the importance of remembering the individuals. And Peter actually went through a list of people who either were New Hampshire residents or had ties to New Hampshire, who perished on that day. And I thought he did a really nice job of that and kind of reminding us that, that's the most important thing to remember. And that, so we were talking about that a bit in the first hour of this show. And that led us into, Gary called and he sent in that wonderful poem that is for Paul and Paul's dad who passed away recently, but also I read that and, to dedicate that to all the first responders. And G Girl, you said when that was all happening, September 11th, you said you were in your car and it was on the news?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was actually dropping my oldest son to the babysitter.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get through. So I'm like, oh, maybe something's wrong with the phone. But when I got to the babysitter, I heard on the radio, they were talking about it.
Yeah.
On all the radio stations you put on, they were saying it. Oh, did you hear what happened in New York? The towers just got hit. And what the heck is going on? When I went, the babysitter showed me on TV. I was like, what? And they were doing the replay of the planes hitting. I'm like, what the heck? And all those people.
Yeah.
It's devastating. Out of all the times I've been to New York, I've never been to the towers. I do see them light the sky up with the light down there. Yeah. But I've never been there. I don't think I would want to go to it. I would be scared the chemicals are still in the air or something.
Yeah, well, as we were discussing earlier, so many people, so many of the first responders on that day and in the preceding days, many of them dying from cancer and other things. breathing in all the toxic, excuse me, all the chemicals and whatnot. And then, I'll talk about just briefly. So my day on that day, at the time remember Strawberries, the music store? So for those who don't know, Strawberries was a store that sold CDs, and I think at that time we still had cassette tapes even. But CDs, DVDs, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yes, cassettes were then.
Yeah. I think it was at the tail end of cassettes, but yeah, cassettes were still around. So I was working at the Strawberries on Loudon Road in Concord. I was living in Concord, and that morning, so I had no idea what was going on. I was completely oblivious. I had to open the store that day. So I wake up that morning, and I lived just a few blocks from the store. So if it was a nice day out in the morning, unless it was pouring rain or something, I would just walk to work. And so that morning, it was a beautiful day out. It was a perfect day. So I walked to work. So I didn't hear my car radio, because if I was in my car, I would have heard the news. So I'm completely oblivious to everything going on. So I walk to work. I'm getting the store open. I'm the only one there. Morning shift. We'd usually be alone until noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm opening the store. We opened at 10. So I have no idea what's happening while I'm doing all this. It's just a normal morning for me. And then I open. Nobody was coming in. It was a quiet morning. And then I get a call on the store's phone from my mother's husband, Terry. And I hear his voice, and immediately I'm worried, because why is my mother's husband calling me at work from his job? So my first thought is something's happened to my mother. So immediately I say to him, what's up? Is mom okay? So he says to me, he has no idea that I don't know what's going on. So he says to me, well, she's okay, but could you just call her? I think she would feel better hearing from you right now, because she's been watching the news and she thinks the world is ending.
Yeah.
Now he says that to me, and now I'm even more panicked, because again, completely oblivious to what's happening. I'm like, what do you mean? And my first thought in my head is, growing up in the 80s, Cold War kid, I'm thinking, are we in a nuclear standoff with the Russians or maybe China?
Yeah.
I'm like, is the world ending? Are we about to go to war? What? So then he explained it to me, what was going on. He was shocked that I didn't know. I said, no, I walked to work. I haven't heard any news or anything. So he explained to me what was going on. So then I was like, oh, okay, well, this is terrible, but at least we're not all about to be incinerated by a nuclear bomb. So, so then I did. I got off the phone with him. I called her, and she seemed to feel a little bit better. And, and then the next thing I did was we also sold boom boxes. So I plugged in a boom box and turned on the radio so I could listen to what was going on, because nobody was coming in the store that day. But yeah, that's where I was. I'll tell you, it's such a cliche. I almost hate to say it, but it really is true. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Me too.
It's that vivid.
Even though it's 20 years ago,
Yeah.
It's like, it seemed like it just happened.
I know, yeah.
And hopefully, knock on wood, we never have to experience that again, or our children to experience that. That was awful.
Yeah, God willing, yeah. And it's interesting too how, over time, because it was 20 years ago, I think, it becomes almost perfunctory every year. People are like, September 11th rolls around and there's commemorations and reflection and whatnot. But as does happen with time, I think every year there's been a little bit less of that, which I think is normal. And I think that's human nature. And obviously there's, people who weren't even alive yet who have, weren't there to experience it. But I think now it's really visceral again, because it is 20 years, and 20 is a big number. That's a,
double number.
We like round numbers. Yeah. But also, because, with the withdrawal from Afghanistan, this is all really front and center in everyone's minds. And, and then there's all the other questions about, are we safer now than we were then? Some say yes, some say no, et cetera. But, it really is. Now, did you, we heard, I don't think you were here yet. Yeah, you had just gotten here. But Gary, our friend Gary, was on the phone with us earlier talking about how he knew a few firefighters. He knew them personally who had perished on that day in New York. Did you lose anyone, or are you connected to anyone who?
No, well, I know people that when I worked where I worked, a lady lost her husband. He was working there. I heard of people losing siblings, like brothers, sisters, things like that. So that's it. Thank God. But just hearing their stories, and what kills me is too. Do you think they got all the bodies and the bones out?
I would assume so, but I don't know.
That makes you wonder,
Yeah.
because it was such a bad rumble, that you wonder if they actually really got everyone. You know, think about it. Could have been, people that living on the streets. You never know if they were nearby, and
True.
family members haven't seen them, so they could be still on the list of unsolved or unfound. I don't know what it's called, but something like that. You wonder,
Yeah.
it's really, you really sit there and you wonder, did they really get everyone?
Yeah.
They were tired for hours and days and even months after they were still over there.
Yeah.
So that's what I really wonder. I hope they counted everybody that really was near there that lost their body or life. That's what I really wonder.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume so with, I don't know how that works exactly, but, there must have been an excavation of the site. And, obviously that's a large area to cover. But I would assume so. But
being tired, think about those men worked hours and days and hours staying away from their family members and couldn't even go home to their own children and family.
Yeah.
And it's like they could have been exhausted. I mean, look at the nurses and the doctors last year, with this going on. So, your body can take so much, but I really wonder that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got some time left if anyone wants to get in with a call. 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. Doesn't have to be about 9/11. It can be about anything, but G-Girl is here with us today, and we haven't seen her in a while. So call in if you'd like, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connarton, or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can always interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. We'll say hello to everybody in there. We won't read all the comments. Some of these we did earlier, but Rocky Huber is in there. Dirk Don of Arrogant Media joins us. Dirk, of course, we hear from him every Wednesday with his album review segment, which is a very popular segment on the show. Jenny is in the chat room, of course. Tom Blanchard, Stacey Lawton in the chat.
Hi, John.
Miriam Banish joins us. Let's see. So we'll make sure we don't miss anybody in here. Bobby Champagne in the chat room. Gonzo is in the chat. Hello, Gonzo. Let's see. Did I mention John Hopwood? I forget if I mentioned John Hopwood. Ryan Gorman is in the chat. Ryan's been spending a lot of time in New York. Hello. Scott Robinson. I don't remember if I mentioned Scott already or not. All right, looks like we're caught up there. But yeah, give us a call, 603-250-6007. Now, how long have you been doing the Icy Show? It seems like it's been quite a few years now.
Yes, it's 3 years. We just had a 3-year anniversary in June.
Okay.
And at that point I had over 300 interviews. Now,
wow.
Yeah, now I'm well over 400 interviews since June.
Oh, that's quite a bit.
Yeah. I went hard on the tour.
What is it that made you want to start that?
Well, my old business partner, I did a tour last year, and we broke record for Boston, the most interviews in 24 hours.
Really?
Yeah. We did 9 different states in 24 hours.
Now that's your old business partner.
Yeah.
So what was this person a co-host on your show?
No. He did his own thing and I did my own thing.
Oh, okay.
But now this year I did the tour by myself.
Oh.
So it was the Icy show going all by myself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was awesome actually.
Yeah.
Especially I haven't been down to like Ohio, Detroit, so I drove all that and it took me 12 hours and then I was out there for a few days and then I came back, but I hit different states when I came back.
Yeah. So I mean, is there a type of interview that you like doing more than others? You know, you've talked to some really interesting people, but you do a lot of interviews with people in the industry, right? In hip hop?
Yes, definitely.
Is that your favorite thing to talk about, is music?
I would say the kids of the future. I rather talk about, improving life for the children and our grandchildren. That's definitely, I rather talk about that in ways how we can make a change.
Yeah.
I really, anything with the children or, helping out, those are the interviews I like to zone into.
No kidding. Are they long form? Are you doing like a Joe Rogan thing where it's a couple hours, or are they short? Or
sometimes it's from a half hour. I've had 2 hours.
No kidding.
And it didn't even feel like 2 hours. When it was like 2 hours, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It went by so fast.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. I can't remember the topic, but I've had that happen a couple of times. Actually, Mr. Showbiz from Ohio, his interview was 2 hours. His first interview. So yeah.
Mr. Showbiz?
Yes, Mr. Showbiz in Ohio. He's a big artist. He actually made some flyers for the Icy show.
Okay.
So the snow leopard one he made. Oh, he's plugging in. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I was like, what's going on over there? No, that's fine.
So, yeah.
Now, when you interview people, talking about the future, like, do you interview politicians or?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, shout out to Mello Brown. He's city council in Springfield, Massachusetts. He's up for councilman this year, so make sure you vote for him. He's a good gentleman that is doing a lot for his community, and I've interviewed him.
Yeah. What are you most concerned about as far as issues?
Issues, first, how the medicine, that's another thing.
Yeah.
What we talked about.
Yeah.
2, the way that the police and how they act towards people.
Mm-hmm.
I've had different situations with them, and I feel like they just care because they have a gun on them, and I don't think that's right.
Let me ask you this, and I want to. Somebody made a provocative comment in the chat room that we might. I don't mean that in a bad way. That maybe we'll include in this discussion, but this is a big subject to get into, so we won't get too deep into it because we don't have that much time left. But let me ask you if you agree with this. When we talk about the police and police brutality and all of it, I feel that there's kind of a hypersimplification that goes on where we live in a culture that tends to see things in a very binary way. Everything is left or right. It's all ones and zeros, red or blue, whatever. And so I feel like there's this split on that issue where you're supposed to be basically either anti-police or pro-police. In other words, you're supposed to either believe that the police are bad and everything they do is bad and they're just out there killing everybody and all this negative stuff, or you're supposed to be pro-police where you don't ever question anything the police do and just you don't want any oversight because you just believe that everything they do is correct. And I believe that, as with many issues, I believe that is too much of a simplified way of looking at it. I believe, and I want to get your perspective on this, that in reality, I believe we need police, we need law enforcement, of course, But I believe that, look, there's good cops who, try to do the right thing. Great cops, out there, heroes, like first responders we were talking about earlier. And there's also bad cops. There's cops who are corrupt. There are cops like,
they're hired. They're hired.
Like Derek Chauvin, for example, who, killed George Floyd on the other extreme. But then there's also a million shades of blue in between. And I believe you can do both. You can say, well, we support the police because we need the police. And a lot of these people, they're doing a very dangerous job and we need them and we need to respect them and support them. But we also need to make sure that the bad ones are being rooted out.
Yeah.
And that there's reform and that there's oversight and we need to examine systemic racism in terms of policing and all of that. But it's like it's this binary thing where, if you start talking about systemic racism, somebody says, oh, so you're against the police. Or if you say, well, no, I support the police. They have a dangerous job. Oh, okay. So you think it's okay that they go around killing? You know what I mean? It's
yes.
It's like, and it's so hard to have discussions about it because people expect you to be all the way on one side or the other with it.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Matt. To be honest with you, I used to be for the police all the time. I'm not against the police. I have family members that are officers.
Yeah.
And how I look at it is this. If my youngest can come to me and say they're racist, that broke my heart when he was 8 years old. For an 8-year-old to come to me and notice that the police are racism because he dealt with it, then that is a problem.
Yeah.
Because if it's my child that notices that, imagine how many other children out there that are noticing it. And that's the next generation is coming up. Our grandchildren, our children, they're the next generation. So if they're noticing it so young, the police need to make a difference for themselves out there and positive and a better look, even though their job is hard. But EMT jobs are harder and they don't even carry a gun. They're not armed and they get beat up. They get punched. They're dealing with patients and they get bitten. They get stabbed. They deal with a lot of crap and they don't get that much money. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jenny's told me some stories from when she was an EMT, and it's some of that stuff is shocking. It's like somebody did that to you? What, it's crazy.
Yes, it's very crazy. So I feel like that's why I say the police need to interact more on a positive note. Their jobs are dangerous, but EMT jobs are more dangerous. They don't have bulletproof jackets on. They're getting assaulted all the time that you don't hear of that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not against anybody that their job is to protect.
Yeah.
But there's a difference to protect and not to protect. And just because you have a gun on you does not give you the right to kill somebody or act macho or bully man or female to an innocent victim. George Floyd, I was disgusted on that case. When I kept hearing that and hearing that and hearing that, for 10 minutes almost to be on top of somebody with your full body weight on there is disgusting.
Yeah.
Because if you and I did that, we would have been in jail for the rest of our life.
Oh, of course. Well, it sounds like Derek Chauvin is going to be as well.
But there shouldn't be a trial like how it went. I mean, some people don't get an innocent trial out there, and they're already gone for life. And that's my next thing. I would love, 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 love to interview inmates. That's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
So if anybody has connections with a jail, and let the IC show go inside the jail to interview inmates that are serving life or never coming home or have a chance but not have a chance, please, I want to give those people an interview from my heart because they deserve it. I don't have a record, so I can clear in the jails.
Yeah.
No problem at all. Because I know a lot of people that got arrested trying to protect, they're never coming home.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had people that reached out to me after they got out of jail they thank me because I always I'll be like, shout out to the jails, free the jails. But it's not free the jails. There's a lot of innocent people, Matt, that get locked up and they're serving serious time, and they'll never be able to get that back. I mean, like, I think in the springtime, someone got, they were serving 17 years. They actually served 17 years, and they found out that they were innocent. And they just got released, and they got the person that was supposedly did it.
Yeah.
But 17 years of a grown man, you would never, ever be able to give that life back to that person or a female. Especially, now he's older. He probably can't have kids. He's still going to be young in the mind. A lot of stuff. And he was innocent. Innocent, and there's a lot of people that are innocent that are behind these jails. And it's like, I wish I could go behind there and just interview them, because I had 3 different people. One guy, as soon as he got the door shut behind him from the jail, he called me on FaceTime. He kept FaceTiming. I'm like, who's this calling me a year ago?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm just leaving the jail. Look, I prayed to God, if I ever got out, I would call you and say, thank you. You cost me a lot of money, but you kept my mind right, because you always give respect to the inmates. And no one does that. He said I was the first people. Down south, they talk about the Icy Show because I give them a lot of respect and shout outs to them, because the other day there was a fire in the jail. 44 people died because there was a malfunction, and they got trapped in the cells. It was all over the news break yesterday or the day before. Check it out. Yeah, it was serious. And it's like, things like that. Those lives, those people, they might have not even were supposed to be in jail, so they just lost their life because you put some innocent person behind the jail.
Yeah.
I had my cousin. He was convicted of a very serious crime, but he was innocent and he got off. But the 3 years he had to serve and fight for his life was major. And, it kills me because I know he's not the only one out there. There's many people out there. And, all you can do is pray for them and tell them not to give up. Always be strong and be a solid soldier, and God will have you. It might not be today, might not be tomorrow, but God will have you. Please don't give up.
Yeah, that's actually, too, my whole reason why, well, not the whole reason, but a huge part of why I have always opposed the death penalty, because there's too many cases of, we know it's happened many times. The numbers are actually kind of shocking, where someone is sentenced to death for a murder that they were convicted of, and then later we find out, either because of new DNA evidence that's been uncovered, or someone recanted their testimony, or maybe it was a coerced confession or whatever it is, we find out that they may not have been guilty, or they were in fact not guilty at all. And, you can't, at least if they're still alive, if you find out they're not guilty, you can go through the process of getting them out. You can't give them back the time that they lost, but at least they're not dead.
Right.
So that's, so I'm glad that you brought that up. And I'm also, the drug war also has a lot to do with why, we have the largest incarcerated population of any modern industrialized country, and it's because of the drug war. Yeah. And I think all that, I think the drug war needs to be tossed in the trash. At the very least, cannabis should be fully legal.
Yes.
There's people serving in federal prison because they got caught with cannabis in a state where it's still illegal, or even in a state where it's legal because it's still federally illegal. And people, there's people serving incredibly long sentences because, maybe they had maybe some cannabis, maybe a cannabis plant was found on their property. Oh, why are they growing this? Were they going to sell it? Now you also get them for intention to distribute. Yeah. And they get, those people get locked up for decades because they got caught with cannabis. It's awful.
It's awful, Matt. But another thing you brought up is that they're overpopulated. The jails are overpopulated. That's another thing. They're overpopulated. They're putting people in gyms that are mats, which is a risk. You're not supposed to be able to put them in a gymnasium and have them side by side. That's a very, if you're overpopulated, I feel like, weed is, I smoke weed. I'm proud of it. I'm not going to lie about it. And, I've had blood clots, and the doctors didn't say it was from that. Yeah. From smoking weed. So therefore, weed is not bad for you. and people, that have epilepsy, they use the canopy because, it slows down the seizures. I have someone that has seizures and they use it and it slowed down them dramatically. So I feel like if we get rid of the people that are in jail for weed, we will unpopulate the jails that are overpopulate.
Yeah.
And then the taxpayers aren't paying all that extra money when those innocent people should be out too.
Right.
And weed, come on. I mean, plant, whatever. I mean, we have so many other things to worry about. All these other diseases that are popping out of nowhere that we never heard of. I think our focus should be more on that and let these people that, might not have a chance to come home over weed, let them come home. Let them experience life. I mean, it's not me being criticized because I smoke weed. No, before I was even saying this, before I even smoked weed. So
Yeah.
I just feel like, there's other drugs that, okay, focus on that. But weed, let those people come home. I mean, it's really, I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we're almost out of time, so I want to make sure before we have to go. This has been a wonderful discussion.
Yes, we chopped it up on a little of everything.
Absolutely. But I do want to make sure we have time for please plug your event this weekend and the Icy Show and anything else that you want to mention.
Yes, definitely. So it's your girl G Girl from the Icy Show. You know who it is. Jackie Brown, Jaccie Brown. You can Google me. I am on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. If you want to be a guest on my my Icy Show, inbox your girl, Jackie Brown. And I am booked until January, but I do have some cancellations. So inbox me if you need me to be an actress. Inbox your girl, Jackie Brown. Come out this Sunday, everyone, in New York, at Hall of Fames. It's going down. Virgo G's birthday bash. She's performing. She's the Latin. She got the award of Latino award recently. She got a song with Cuban Link. Cuban Link will be performing. Wu-Tang Management, Nimrod from Federal District Records, he's performing, and many, many more. We have Casino flying in from Texas. We have Murr coming in from Boston, 617. It's just gonna be off the chain. You just gotta come out, G Girls. Food and Gemini Stacks catering is going to be catering the food, so you can taste my food. You see all my pictures, and come out. It's Virgo G's birthday, and DJ Drewski is spinning the ones and twos. He's hosting. I'm co-hosting, so it's gonna be a party with the party and 420 happy inside with the drinks and the edibles. So we're ready.
All right. Very good. Very good.
Thank you, everyone. Stay blessed. God bless the world. Make peace on earth. Oh, and also check me out on my new Bible studies. That's going to be happening. I'm going to change in co-hosts every time on the Icy Show. So every week I'm going to be just a kid's Bible, read 20 minutes, only 20 minutes from a kid's Bible, talk about it for 10 minutes. Anyone could call in or whatever. But I'm going to be changing the co-host every week on that. So I'm planning to do it every single week because these kids need Bible studies. They need CCD. We need to bring it back. They took it all away.
All right. Very good.
Thank you, Matt. I love you. 95.3 FM. Let's go.
All right. We love you, G Girl. Thank you so much. And that's going to do it for us. Don't forget, come back tonight, 7:30. I'll be here with Paulie C for Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C from 7:30 to 10 p.m. tonight right here from WMNH. And if you missed any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org and, of course, on my website, mattconnarton.com. That's going to do it for us for now. We'll leave you with one more September 11 song, as tomorrow is the 20-year anniversary of September 11. This is Bon Jovi. This is called Every Day. I'll talk to y'all
Let's
a little bit later.
Bon Jovi.
Bye.